Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video I'm going to take a look at some security measures which you may want to implement on your computer system, especially if you're using Windows 11 with all the data which comes in and out of your system and seems to be it's not a good look. There's a lot of things, especially telemetry data, which Microsoft tries to use, and you just got data spewing out of your computer, whether you like it or not. Now, the program we're going to be using today is called Simplewall, and it is designed as an add-on to the existing Windows Firewall, or if you're already using an existing firewall product on your system, this just enhances it and uses the Windows filtering platform, which is something a little bit separate from the main networking protocols. But anyway, we'll take a look at it in the video. So let's head to the computer and we'll take a closer look and see if this is something which might be beneficial for installation on your PC. Okay, so here we are on our Windows 11 desktop, and obviously, as always, this is a program or an application. It can make changes to your registry and your system configuration. So if you're in any doubts whatsoever, or you have a mission critical system, I would strongly suggest you do a full system backup, or at least make a system restore point before you continue. Anything that happens to the computer is not my responsibility, and I just wanted to get that out there. That is our disclaimer. So with that said, let's get on with it. So we go into GitHub, and Henry PP has had this program called Simplewall. This has been out for ages. There's been over 140 something odd releases, 145 releases. So it's been around a while. The latest one at the time of recording is August the 8th, 2025. And basically it tells you what it's about there. So a simple tool to configure the Windows filtering platform, WFP, which can configure network activity on your computer. So yeah, sounds pretty straightforward. It's a very small program, so let's go ahead and get the latest version. And as you can see here, there are different versions you can get: bin, setup, exe, etc. We'll just go with the setup exe, and we'll save it to the Windows desktop. And there you go, just over 1 megabyte in size, so absolutely tiny. So we can close this now, we don't need that anymore, and we can start the program installation. You'll get the user account control come up, so we'll click on yes, and then you have to select a language, so just select whichever is suitable for you, and it's done in multiple languages, so it should be something for everybody. Goes through the guide, just usual setup stuff. You can read all about it if you wish to, and accept the terms of the license and choose where you want to install it. I'm going to use the defaults. Click on next, and it asks you what you want to install, and also whether you want to have shortcuts, etc. So I'm just going to go ahead with that, click on install, and now that's done, so we'll click on next. And now you've got the option to run Simplewall, and also if you want to, you can show the release notes. Now I'm not going to show the release notes, let's go straight in and run Simplewall. So click on finish, and there we go. It's a very small program with a user interface, and essentially what it's going to do is anything which tries to actually send information out of your computer, it will stop it. Now, some of you may remember back in the day when you had a Windows 95 or Windows 98 PC, one of the first things we would install on it back in the day was a program called ZoneAlarm. ZoneAlarm was awesome. Basically, any information that was trying to get on your system, you'd get a pop-up and you'd have the option to either block it or do whatever. Now that works on a different principle. This is using the Windows filtering platform, but it kind of works in a similar sort of way. So it just blocks information from going out. So we'll go through and have a little look at the program. So at the moment, obviously Simplewall there, you have to choose to enable it. So enable selected, which already is because there's a tick box by the side. And there's other programs here which want to have access, which currently don't. So you've got apps with internet access and you've got apps without internet access. Now at the moment, this program isn't doing anything at all. In order to actually make it do something, you have to click on Enable Filters, which we will do shortly. Also, you've got all these other tabs and settings you can go through. So you've got your apps, it will show you services which are running, which want access, UWP apps, etc. There's the block lists, which are already included for a lot of the Windows Telemetry spyware, etc. You've also got system rules, you've also got user rules which you can configure, connections, and also the packets log, which currently is empty because it's not running. And at the top there, you've got the file option and also your settings. So let's have a quick look in there. So in settings, you've got options for the interface, general, I'm going to choose load on system startup and also start minimized, and also to skip the user account control prompt warning, which is annoying as all hell if you've got UAC enabled, and also to periodically check for system updates. Makes sense. In the interface, you've got options there. Just leave that as it is. Highlighting. So essentially, when you go into the app itself, there's different color codes of what type of apps they are and what kind of privileges or access they actually have. You can double click those to change them should you wish to. You also got the rules section. Again, I would pretty much leave that as is. You also got the block list. So this actually makes things a little bit easier. So if you want to stop Microsoft spying and telemetry, the default configuration is block, which is the recommended setting. If you want to allow the telemetry, just go ahead and choose allow. That is entirely up to you. Also for Windows Update or Microsoft Update, they've actually got it disabled as a recommended, but I'm actually going to set to allow because Windows updates are, well, generally quite useful, he says, tongue slightly in cheek. And next we've got Microsoft applications such as Skype, Bing, Live, Outlook, etc. So if you actually use these, then you can allow them access. Obviously, again, because this is designed to keep traffic as minimal as possible, its default configuration is to disable, but I'm going to set it to allow because I do use things like, well, I don't use Skype, Skype doesn't exist, but Outlook, etc. I do use that, so I'm going to click on allow. You can also configure these later on. So if you make a change and you actually want to change it, you can change that should you wish to. So that's how I'm going to have mine set up. Notifications, also I like to choose this, show notification window on tray. That way you get a pop-up down in this bottom section telling you that a program is trying to access the internet. This is particularly helpful if you're running things like full screen games. You'll still get the pop-ups to say that this program is being prevented access to the internet. Do you want to allow it? So if you're playing like online games, Fortnite, etc., it will give you the option to allow Fortnite to actually access the outside world, and also things like Epic Games, Steam, etc., etc. Hopefully that makes sense. You can also change the timeouts as well. I'm going to set it to 30. And that's fine. Obviously, if you make any changes here and things go awry, you can always click on reset to go back to the defaults. You've also got your packets log. I'm not particularly interested in that, but some of you may be, so you can choose where the packet log is and if it's actually created. And also you've got an exclusion list as well. So I'm going to leave that exactly as it is. I'm pretty happy. So we can close that. So that is the kind of the primary settings itself, although there is another settings section here which does a very similar sort of thing, so you can choose whichever you want to do. You also got options for refreshing, clear logs, etc., the view, block list. This is another part which you may want to take a look at. So Microsoft spying and telemetry, again, this is just like another version of what we saw previously, so it's set to block. Windows Update is currently set to allow, and Microsoft applications are also set to allow. So at this moment, I'm pretty happy with how things are. So I'm going to click on Enable Filters, and it's going to give you an option. So you can set it up so that the rules are permanent. So until you disable them manually, or temporary rules, and they reset after the next reboot. So if you want to test it a little bit, you can use temporary rules. I would select permanent rules because it's basically a better way of doing it. It's less intrusive. You've also got an option there for disable Windows Firewall. Now, I'm not going to do that because I want to run it with the Windows Firewall, keep that running, and also have Simplewall as kind of like a supplementary or a backup to the Windows Firewall. So I'm going to click on Enable Filters, and here we go. Straight away, this is what we're going to be likely getting. You'll get this on a regular basis until the system knows what it is you want to actually do. So things like this, so Synology Active Backup for Business, we want that to run, so we'll click on Allow. It's pretty straightforward. Microsoft Windows, there's a system thing there. Again, if you're not too sure what any of these are, you can just check them. Generally, if they're a system one, you can let them go, and it'll pass through these every 30 seconds. You can, if you want to, click on play, and it'll just go through the various ones which are available. And again, you can choose to block them or not. Some of them are useful, some of them aren't going to be. So say, for instance, if we open up Google Chrome, we should get this, Chrome EXE. So we do actually want it to allow outbound communications because obviously that makes sense. So just allow it when you get the chance. And again, you can go through these and choose which ones are appropriate. So Google Chrome is now allowed to get access to the internet. So hopefully that should make sense to you. Again, there are going to be some programs which you will have to give access to. That is the nature of the beast, but like Microsoft Edge, again, clicked it there, so we can allow that. Node.exe, yeah, we know what that is. But just go through and, well, we don't want to set that as the default browser, we really don't. But hopefully now this gives you the general idea. So as it goes through, it'll keep on finding things which are requiring access, and it'll just pop up down here. So you can choose to do them or not. If you're not too sure, just type into Google what it is, the signature of it, or the exe, and you can get some more information about it. You've got things like the spooling program for the printers, etc. You can pretty much ignore these. If you ignore them, it just leaves them in their default states as what they are at the moment, basically not being allowed out. So you don't have to block or allow, you can just keep on letting it go through, do its thing. Also, it'll tell you what the addresses are, etc. So yeah, it's a pretty useful thing. Again, if your system is set up exactly how you like it, then all of a sudden you get a pop-up down here saying that a file which you don't have any idea what it is wants to gain access to the internet or is trying to send data out from your computer, you can just block it because it potentially could be malware, could be anything, you don't know. So this is another level of protection of your system to prevent data going outbound. It's not going to protect system data coming inbound, but it will stop it going outbound. So if you go to a website, accidentally click on some malware, and it starts trying to send data out, you'll get this pop-up and you can just block it. So even if you do get some malware, it isn't going to be as destructive because it's not going to send your data outbound, which is pretty much ideally what we all want to do, have a slightly less chatty system and have it somewhat more secure. Obviously, there is going to be the element of user intervention on this. But again, if you make a mistake, you can just go into the app section and you can choose to either give it access or not. So this one here, Microsoft Defender, that's for the update engine. So we'll let that have access because we use Windows Defender. LSAS, got all these things here. You can go through and just choose them if you want to give them access or if you choose not to. Again, Windows apps there, you can scroll through, you can specifically give access. So Cinebench, yep, we can give access to Cinebench because we don't mind that at all. Things like the cross-device experience host, you may want to block that. Again, it's all going to be down to you. You are completely in control. You can decide what goes out of your system in terms of data-wise across the internet. So there you go, there is a look at Simplewall. I really like this program. Again, it's been around for a long time. I'm surprised it's taken me this long to actually find it. I used to love using the ZoneAlarm years ago, but that all got kind of messy and weird. So yeah, most of us stopped using that. But as a replacement for ZoneAlarm, I think this actually goes a long way of giving you that little extra layer of security. Again, it isn't a replacement for your firewall, it is an addition, and it works on a slightly different process, the Windows filtering program. So yeah, this is more for outbound communications rather than incoming communications. So you still do require, or you still should use a firewall of some sort, ideally the Windows built-in one. It's pretty much as good as anything and it's completely free. And now you can actually stop Microsoft actually sending telemetry data out through that firewall, which is yeah, pretty awesome. Anyway, I've waffled on for way too long. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments section. Do you use it already? If you do, let me know. And have you experienced any problems? It looks like it's a pretty decent application. And again, it's completely free of charge. It's open source, so you can view through all of the coding in there and it's updated pretty regularly. It's had 145 updates so far, so it's looking pretty good. Anyway, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.